item 5.4, discussion concerning employment of an employee, and executive session is anticipated.
Mr. Hall, I'm not expecting the board to take any action on that. It's just informational, so it would be the board's pleasure. You certainly could wait till the end of the meeting. That's entirely up to you.
Alrighty, without any objections, I will move that item 5.4 to the end of the meeting after 6.7 if there's no objections. Alright, so that's what we'll do, and we'll move on to item 6.0, general business. And item 6.1, Board of Education Policy 3280, the community school at Maple Street. Dr. Conklin.
The board's policy 3280 asks that any donations that are presented to the board, to the school district, go through the board and are approved, and that certainly is what we want to be happening. For the community school, which is after school, an after school program, which is still part of the Vernon Public Schools, we receive a multitude of offerings. Some of it could be yarn, material for crafts. It could be a free piano lessons. It could be monetary. So my thought was, rather than every time, and this could happen 5-10 times a week, so rather than coming to the board for that purpose, just for the community school, I'm asking if you would have that discussion, that you might waive that policy just for the community school. And the motion that I prepared said just with a value under $100, and I just picked that out of a hat. I really had no specific intentions with that. You could make it 50, you could make it whatever you want, or just say community school. I just wanted to bring it to you because we started to get some requests, and some of them were worth $12 and $25, and we couldn't even put a value on them if it was yarn or something like that, craft supplies. So I just bring it to you, and certainly you don't have to do that. It would help, I think, Dr. Pacell from coming back and back and back all the time. So certainly.
I would entertain Mr. Percy.
I'd like to make a motion that the board waive policy 3280 regarding the approval of gifts, grants, or requests offered to the community school of Maple Street School with a value under $100.
Thank you. I have a motion, Ms. Bush.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion on the motion. Ms. Sarn and Mr. Kemp.
It seems that maybe that policy needs to be looked at, that we're not exactly adhering to it anyway. Maybe we're not because of the difficulty that it creates. But I'm guessing that the policy committee ought to take a look at that, just based on all of the areas that it says must receive prior approval by the Board of Education, and where it says that the superintendent can't accept gifts unless the board approves them. It just seems pretty hand-tying. So maybe this evening will work for the purposes of Maple Street School, but maybe the policy committee ought to look at revising 3280.
Thank you. Mr. Kemp.
It seems to me it makes sense to waive basically any donation less than $100, or pick a number of dollars, whether it's the community school or not. In fact, this motion could actually be amended slightly to remove the term community school, and that leaves it anything under $100 system-wide. It would be a unilateral change to a policy that is kind of spontaneous here this evening. It's not a monumental event, but it might make things simple across the board. I'm sure that we get all kinds of $15 and $20 gifts that we never, under the radar, we never see, know, or hear about, whether it comes to the board or not. And we might as well create some kind of minor threshold, like $100, so that we don't have to deal with it time after time. So if you would like, I'd make a motion to just remove from that. I'd move to amend that motion to remove the words community forum.
Community school?
The school. Thank you.
So you're putting a motion on top of the motion to,
Well, I'm throwing it out there first as a question before I'm making a motion. What do you got, what do you folks think?
yeah, I was going to say, is the motion are interested in a friendly amendment, or would we?
I have no problem with that.
So it looks like we,
Also has no problem.
I just didn't want to step on the toes of the policy committee.
Thank you. I realize procedurally it's a little, but it's not a monumental event. I'll move to remove the words from the motion, community school, and would appreciate a second.
to amend the motion to remove community school. Got it? And Ms. Goldich is going to second. I have a motion and a second to make an amendment to the first motion, which is to remove the words community school. Is there any discussion on the amendment to the requested motion, Ms.
If we're amending the motion, it really should say the community school at Maple Street School. That whole thing should come out, so it just reads.
Okay.
It should be
Thank you.
request offered to the Vernon school system with a value under $100.
Yeah, so we're removing any reference to the community school at Maple Street School. That we're going to, and Mr. Captain is good with that, Ms. Goldich is good with that.
That's what I meant.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'm going to take a motion on the motion to amend, or vote on the motion to amend by show of hands. All in favor? Okay, so the motion is now, the original motion is amended to have a policy that requests anything under 100 for any schools in the district. Any further discussion on that motion? Ms. Bush?
I just want to make sure that the donations are the people making the donations are properly thanked as well, maybe by the schools in some fashion. But you know, they are gifts. They are given to the school. Just I'd like to see that the people donating get thanked properly.
And I think that was probably the reason why this motion is here, so this board would acknowledge that in the past. That just makes sense. Other discussion on that motion? Seeing none, I'm going to bring the motion to a vote by show of hands. All in favor? And that is unanimous. Item 6.2, approval of grant application in Rockville Bank Foundation.
Thank you very much, and I would invite Mr. Griffin to the table. 2 agenda items, I think.
Yes, next one.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Tonight, I want to talk about 2 items. One is that we have a bookmobile that's been operating in the town of Vernon for the past 2 years, past 2 summer. And the bookmobile goes around to various sites in town, the lunch sites, the parking and recreation sites, some of the apartment complexes, to hand deliver books to students throughout the district. It's been a wonderful program. What we've been doing during the course of years is try to develop a systemized, effective, and efficient way of doing that. So we've been seeking out some funding to pay for the bus, and we've been seeking out some funding to put certain size boxes, to fill the boxes with books and strap the books onto the bus so they don't jump around and end up on the floor somewhere, and to do a systematic way of processing those books. So what I'm doing tonight is asking the board to approve a grant application for some funds for $2,150 to purchase those boxes, to purchase straps to go around those boxes, to purchase scan barcodes and so forth, so that we can do this in an effective and efficient manner. So if the board would approve that, then I can submit the grant application.
Ms. Fisher?
I move that the Vernon Board of Education approve the request from Gerald Griffin to apply for a grant through Rockville Bank Foundation for $2,150 to support the elementary summer bookmobile project. And if the grant is awarded, that the Board of Education accepts.
And Ms. Gold, I have a second. I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'm going to call the motion to a vote by show of hands. All in favor? That's unanimous.
This next item on the agenda, I would first want to introduce Sharon Redfern from the Rockville Public Library. And it's been delightful working with her since last summer. I met her last summer. She invited me to work with her on writing a grant for another summer program. And we were very successful in being awarded a 3-year grant proposal, $35,000 for each year. And we thought it was really important for the board to hear what this proposal is about. We've been working on, yes, we have the money, but now all the little nuts and bolts and procedures have to be put in place. And so we've been working on that. And also aligns with some of the things I heard at the last board meeting. What do we do in terms of extending the school year? So this is just another project that I think fits very nicely into what you're requesting. So maybe Sharon, you can talk a little about it.
We applied for the Ready for the Grade grant from the New Alliance Foundation, and we were one of 4 libraries that was approved for this grant. The program will run for 9 weeks during the summer. Our partner school will primarily be Maple Street School, but we can look at some of the other schools if there are children who meet the criteria. This program will be different than the normal summer program that the library runs, which is essentially a traditional summer reading program where there's story hours, arts and crafts, entertainment programs, and reading incentives. This will be a little more intensive. Children will be identified through the school system. The purpose of this program is to strengthen the children's learning of reading processes that they got during the year and keep them going through the summer so when they start back in September they haven't lost anything. So we want to build on the strengths that they worked so hard to do over the school year, keep them going all summer long. We'll be using technology. We will have reading mentors. We'll have reading role models, which will be recognizable people from the community. The mayor has given his permission for example, a policeman to come in, talk about how he couldn't be a policeman if he didn't read, and how reading is essential to his job. We will have specially trained reading dogs who will come in, who will be available for children who have maybe a little shyness about reading. They can read to the dogs because the dogs won't be judgmental. We'll have structured and enjoyable activities that will strengthen the children's skills in the 6 areas of reading. We'll have activities for parents to help them learn new ways to encourage their children to read. And we'll have a lot of opportunities for children to get free books and for children to make books that are meaningful to them. So we think it's a really great program. We're excited about it. 3 years is quite a bit of time to do it. So we'll be K through 3rd grade.
Any questions?
Very nice. Board members, any questions of the information you just heard? Well, thank you very much for the report this evening, and thank you for coming, Mr. Vernon and Mr. Griffin. Appreciate it.